Hey, what's up, guys?
What's happening, Dick?
Just living the dream, man.
Oh, we can't hear you. Oh, shoot.
Hold on. Can you hear me now?
We are recording on our end.
Hold on. Can you guys hear me now?
Nope.
Are you picking up my sound
I can hear you guys.
on your computer? You can hear me, Dick?
I can hear you guys, yeah.
How did we fix this last time?
Hold on. One sec.
He has an idea. I don't remember how we fixed it.
Check.
Yeah, I hear you.
Can you guys hear me now?
Nope.
I can hear you guys.
Oh, fuck me.
All right, try now.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, there we are.
Sometimes when I have audio issues, I gotta because I use StreamYard too. Sometimes when I have audio issues, I gotta completely start like a whole new room and reinvite the person into that one. Yeah.
Heck yeah. Well,
I was plugged into the wrong hole.
Sweet. Well, finally, I'm so glad that we get to connect, Dick. We've been talking for, it feels like a century. Just trying to connect with our busy lives.
Yeah, man, it's been a while. You know, I know every time you ask me, and it's like, oh man, yeah, I can't right now. And I know how hard it is, right? Because I do the same thing. I like run through the list of people I can ask, and you know, it's like, oh no, sorry, I can't right now. Sorry, I can't right now. I don't have time right now. It's like, oh, I'll get you next time, right? Eventually one of these days it'll work, right? So here we are. Yeah, that's awesome.
This is awesome. Well, yeah, I guess we'll just get after it. Who are you? What do you do? And we'll start there.
Yeah, I'm Dick Frost, I guess, and you know, I switch what I do all the time here. Oh, not all the time, but in the winter I work vac truck in the oil field in Alberta, and then in the summer I in order to protect myself and others, mentally I leave and I go do road construction in the summer. I can grow a beard. I'm not you know, getting overwhelmed and wanted to kill people all the time. So, you know, I go to this back and forth between the same two companies for like the last 10 years. So yeah, I do that just because, you know, mentally I need to. So yeah.
Where's home for you? I think I missed that.
Edmonton.
Okay.
Where are you guys from?
Colorado.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yep.
I know you guys were on Mountain Standard Time, so same as me.
I know I threw you for a loop when we were talking because some people, not most people, but aren't on Mountain Standard Time. So when you're on it, it makes it way easier.
Oh yeah, when I'm getting together to record a podcast with someone, like that's the first question. You know, like what time zone are you on, right? And I don't get Mountain Standard Time too often. I think the one that was the furthest away was I don't know what it is, but they were in Australia with their 16 hours ahead. And actually that was one of the easiest podcasts I've ever put together. Like 3 or 4 days it took to line it up. He's 16 hours ahead and he was on lunch and I was getting ready for bed. So, you know, it was like 9 o'clock at night or whatever. So yeah, we made it work.
Heck yeah.
That's pretty wild. Yeah, I really want to dive into really all three of your things.
I got three things.
Well, yeah, the oil field work. If you could just dive into that, the road construction, and then your podcasting, honestly.
Sweet. Yeah, man. I work on a vac truck in the oil field in the wintertime there. I spray water at things when it's cold, right? And I'm getting completely covered in water, and hence how I got Dick Frost out of that. Yeah, I started doing that. Oil field, I guess, in general. 16 years I've been in it now, and vac truck 9 years. I got into that by accident. I was kind of looking for a new job. I wasn't happy where I was, and I met a guy on site, and I'm always networking when I'm on site, right? So yeah, I met a guy on site. He's like, yeah, man, we're hiring. And yeah, so I applied and I got it pretty much right away. And, I never left. So it's been pretty good for my family and I, chasing oil rigs around and cleaning them up and, pipeline stuff. And yeah, man, just, and I'm getting my class 3, which is my CDL here right away. So, it took me 10 years to do it, but I'm getting that right away here. So, that opens up other doors for me eventually. Right. So, yeah, I'm pretty loyal to a fault to these guys.
What's a normal day look like for you then in the winter?
Oh man, that's crazy. That's a crazy question because I never know. Right. I'm on call 24/7. So, while I'm there, I could be gone for 4 hours or I could be gone for 30 hours. You never know, right? You just pack for, 2 days worth of food every time you leave, right? You either have a lot left over when you get back or you've gotten out and you're scavenging for more. It's, I think my longest day out on site was 42 hours. I think it was minus 48. Yeah, it was minus 48. Half the crew had booked time off, and that never happens anymore. My boss won't allow it anymore after that. But that was 6 years ago. And yeah, so half the crew booked time off around that time, and whoever else was there was on a project, and there was only 3 of us that were really, really there to hang out and collect all the hours. And I was with a brand new guy. Like, he was green as green could be. And after like the 40-hour mark, my boss asked when we got back to the shop, he's like, oh, how'd he do? I'm like, if he doesn't quit after this, he's not going anywhere. And he just left. He just quit, I guess, after 6 years. He quit last year, I guess it was. He got himself a girlfriend and, wanted to be home with her more. Actually, he just posted that they're having a baby. So, they got married. Ooh, they got married here. I guess it's been 2 years since they got married here this past, I don't know, 6-7 months ago. They got married, and now there's a little bambino on the way. So yeah.
That's awesome.
Wow. So yeah, can you describe exactly what the roles are? What are you typically doing on these oil field jobs? Cody and I are in residential construction, if you want to call it that. So yeah, I have no familiar with the oil field work.
So we get called out, right, on the back, and after they do a cement job, when they'll drill the hole and they'll pour cement to encase their hole to keep it from leaking out or anything like that. And we get called in to basically clean their tanks and get them ready for the next hole, right? And yeah, so basically I'm a swamper. They call me a swamperator because like I said, I probably should have got my license years ago, but I just didn't. And I was happy just being a swamper. I can make good content from the passenger seat, and and so and I make enough that I doesn't really care. So they can call us out. I'm a swamper. I get to sleep. I get to have truck naps while on the way to and from and stuff. It's great. And yeah, basically my job is, as a swamper, the driver, if he's lazy, you're doing it all anyways. So basically my job is to get in there and get dirty, get covered in the day, right? Every chemical the oil field has to offer, I'm getting on my skin and inhaling it. I'm probably gonna die in 20 years, but it's hey, whatever, say la vie. Yeah, it's everything the oil field has to offer, man. They're quite literally I'm wearing the day, right? You see, oh, what'd you do today? I have to ask you what you did today. When you see me, you know what I did today, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what the nickname Dick Frost, can you walk us through how that happened, why you got that name?
Oh man, so actually Dick Frost predates my social media journey by like a year. I was out on site. It was minus 48. It was a polar vortex, and I was spraying steam at some wellheads. They were freezing, right? So I had to you know, every time I'd move down to the next one, by the time I got down to the end, I had to come back because, you know, they were freezing up again. You're spraying water at minus 48, basically. And the consultant, the company man, was standing in the wrong spot. So I had to stand downwind, and I took all the steam on me, right? And it was not ideal. But I was wearing rain gear and a hard hat and stuff like that. And so I took all the steam, and by the end of the day, I had like a 3-inch layer of ice around my hard hat and icicles hanging off my glasses, and my raincoat was so frozen, it was like a sheet of ice. I had to take it off like a sweater, and it stood up on its own. Oh, and so my name is Richard. So I posted on Facebook. I took a picture of me, like just covered in ice and whatnot. Took a picture. I'm like Dick Frost reporting for duty, Richard, and I'm covered in frost. Right. I'm just so I posted that, and I get back to the shop. My boss is like, "So how's Dick Frost doing today?" I'm like, "Oh man, yeah. Well, here we go. Yes." And then I remember it was like a year later or something like that. I started, TikTok and stuff like that. And I had originally had my real name as my username, right? And I got up to like 2,000 or 3,000 followers, and people start finding my personal Facebook, right? So I'm like, man, I really gotta change my name here. What do I change it to? And it's like, well, all right, well, Dick Frost is sort of already a thing, right? It wasn't much of a thing. So I just changed it to that. And when I changed it to that and started making a couple videos, I came back to the shop. Once again, my boss, my hard hat was expired. He brought me out a blue one. I was wearing a black one before that. My first year and a bit on TikTok, I was rocking a black hard hat. And he comes out with a blue one, and he's like, "I think you need a new hard hat." Gives me the blue one, and then he had the sticker on there, the name tag, Dick Frost. He's like, "I think this is for you, man." I'm like, "Oh, that's awesome, man. I love that." So kind of the blue hard hat kind of became my thing, right? And so yeah, it was kind of like an accident, really, how it happened, right? It was just super cold, and just the vac truck played a big part of it. So yeah.
That's awesome.
What's your favorite thing about that? About your job?
Oh man, my favorite thing. Well, probably now that I get to make content and stuff like that. So I've been there for 9 years, and 6 of them I've been making content for. So my favorite thing is probably that I get to get covered in the day, and I get to kind of wear that as a badge of honor on the internet, and just I'm dirty, I'm filthy, and you're all gonna come for the ride, and you're gonna see me dirty and filthy, right? So yeah. I made a video back in the beginning that I was caked in invert. It's stuff they use for drilling, and there's 100 known cancer causing chemicals in this thing, right? I think they took out diesel a couple years ago, so you can cross that one off the list. But yeah, so I was covered in invert and a couple other things, and I made a video. It's like, join the oil field, they said. Have fun, they said. Don't go to college, they said, and then it's like, anybody know where I can find a college application, right? and then it's like, nah, I'm just kidding. I love this shit, right? And then I think that got my first 100,000 views or whatever came from that video.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty fun. It was a good time.
How did you pick the oil field? What was school like for you? How did you land this job?
Actually, I wasn't bad at school, right? I wasn't, looking back, I could have been better, but I was just lazy. My wife, actually, we've been together since grade 11, and I sat next to her in almost every class that we had in together, and I just copied her shit all the time. Right? But looking back on it, I was just lazy, right? And I was originally going to go work for my dad. He owned his own metal roofing business, but I've learned very quickly I'm not a heights guy, right? So that's not for me. So I don't think anyone really chooses the oil field. I think the oil field chooses you, right? And you kind of just go from there. I was working. I'm originally from out east, Toronto area, and I moved out west and in hopes of a better job. And I went to BC at first, in Vancouver, and then worked my way to Saskatoon. And I was in Saskatoon, and I was working at Leon's Furniture in the warehouse. So I was making $13 an hour, and I was like, man, there's got to be something better out there, right? I didn't move across the country away from everyone I love and everyone I know just to make $13 an hour, And I worked with this guy. He was a delivery driver for Leon's, and he had just come from the drilling rigs. And we talked quite a bit, and he's like, "Yeah, man, you can make this much money." He's like, "It's slow right now. I just got laid off, but they're always looking for guys they can pay less and, you know, and bring in and whatnot. So I spent the next few months, you know, he told me what tickets I needed. So I spent the next few months purchasing those tickets, getting those safety tickets and accreditations or whatever you want to call it, my H2S and first aid. So I spent the next few months getting all that. And then one day I sent a fax out. That's how long ago it was. I sent a fax out to a company, and within an hour they got back to me and they're like, yeah, can you start this day? So I had a conversation with my wife when she got home from work that day. I'm like, hey, I applied for this job. I'll be working away from home. We hemmed and hawed about it. You know, and so eventually it was like, well, this is the money. And she's like, I don't believe that, but you know, let's give it a go. And then, so yeah, I went off on my first hitch, as they call it, you know, my first, I think it was like 21 days on, and it was really hard, but you know, I went off on it, and you know, the rest is history, man. You know, I'm here, and I don't really foresee myself quitting, but I've definitely slowed down in the amount of time I spend away, just because my content and my podcast and stuff, right? So yeah.
Do you get to pick and choose kind of when you go out, or is it like mandatory based on what your company throws at
Yeah,
you?
most oil field jobs are actually mandatory. They tell you when you're going and when you're coming home, right? This usually like a set schedule. A lot of guys don't have a set schedule. They'll be out for months at a time. Where I work, and partly why I've stayed here is because we get to set our own schedule, right? Like not our own hours. Like the boss says, hey, like you're going to work right now, and this is part of being here. But if say I want to go home after 2 weeks, you know, for a month. I can go home for a month if I want to. I can go home for 3 days if I want to. I can go home for a week, and then I can come back. I used to stay back at the beginning of the pandemic. I used to stay for 6 months at a time because it was so hard to fly home, right? So I'd stay for 6 months at a time. I think in that 2 years, I spent 20 days at home, and that was hard. I just had a newborn daughter and a 2-year-old daughter, so you know that was really hard. And yeah, so yeah, here I get to choose my own schedule, and that's partially why I've stayed as long as I have. That's a big reason.
And then you said in the summers you jump into a different role in a different company.
Yeah, I started doing road construction about 10. Oh, this year is year 10 actually. So 10 years ago, when the oil field took a bit of a dip, I needed to stay busy, right? So I was just looking around, and I found this job, right? I found a job fair. They were throwing a job fair, and my wife made me go. I didn't want to go, but she pretty much forced me to go. She's like, you got to go do this, right? She jokes around now. She's like, aren't you glad I forced you to go to do that? And it's like, yeah, well, that's yet to be seen, right? At times it's like, yeah. But so I did it, and I went, and, you know, I started off as a laborer, you know, chasing equipment on the ground. And then, you know, over the course of 10 years, I was moved into an operator position, right? And so, you know, I kind of built a family there. And, you know, I really like that, you know, I could come here in the summer, take the break, but go back to where I was in the winter. And, you know, it makes me not want to, like, you know, murder people so much, you know, like I start getting, you know, stressed out or just annoyed enough where it's like, okay, it's time to quit, right? And then the winter's over, and then the summer starts, and it's like, okay, cool, now I get to go to this job. And same with that. By the end of the summer, I'm ready to just quit and never come back. And there was a thing there I've been here 10 years, probably for 8 of them. I'm like, I'm not coming back next year. Fuck this place. Right. and then, you know, the next year comes, and it's like, yeah, I'm here. Right. And, you know, a lot of my coworkers who've been there less time than me, they're just like, yeah, man, you're never leaving. Right. Like, this is where you're going to die. Right. And probably true. And so, yeah, I do that. And, you know, I moved my way up to equipment operator, but the downside of that is, unlike the winter, I don't get to choose my schedule, right? Like, it's go, go, go. And I'm away from home there too. And usually a lot more. And, but I make more, right? This summer, I actually got to move to a different division where I get to be home every night. So, you know, they're like, hey man, do you want to switch divisions? You're home every night, same money. Yeah, I'm in, right? So I'm working like 5 minutes from home right now, right? I get off at like, most nights it's usually a little late, right? Like, especially if, you know, I got to go all the way back to the shop first, which I try not to. I try to get my coworkers to drop me off along the way. I'm home at like 6 o'clock. Right. The other night I had to drive myself to work. like my coworker, he picked me up. He picks me up usually, but the other night he took the day off, so I had to drive myself that day. My daughters are done school now, so I have access to the car, and I didn't get home till almost 9. So it was, but I still get to be home every night, right? It does. I was home late, but I was home nonetheless. Yeah, it was pretty good.
Is that pretty common, having a winter job and a summer job? I've never really met anyone that does that. I mean, it sounds like a great setup.
It is a great setup, especially for me and the way our lifestyle is here. But where I work in the summertime, a lot of guys, it's a seasonal thing, right? So a lot of the guys, they'll work in the winter, or a lot of the guys and the gals that I work with there, a lot of them will just take the winter off, right? They're like, hey, it's way too cold out here, I ain't going outside, right? And a lot of them, a lot of the guys I work with, they'll be like, you'll show up in the spring with like a beer belly and a gun. Yeah, man, I sat around all winter long and just hung out with the wife and kids. And but nah, I'm like, I like to keep busy year round, kind of, right? And so for me, that's pretty normal for me to be working. But the guys where I work in the wintertime, those guys work there all year round. And a lot of them are miserable.
What's your bread and butter for your operating? What do you typically operate?
So in the summertime here, like a Roscoe sweeper, and a loader and a roller, right? So wherever they want to throw me, basically, and I'll even labor for them if they want me to. I don't care. You're paying me the same amount of money to go run a shovel. Let's go. Like I'm in. There's a guy online I follow right now named Powder Slayer. His name's Forrest, and he has his own podcast too. He's kind of like taking a break from it right now, but he said, be the guy that says yes, right? Don't turn anything down. Just go and do it. Do as you're asked, right? And that's kind of been my mentality since I was 20, right? So like, why I've made it. I might not be the smartest guy, or I might not be the strongest guy, but like I'll just go do it. No questions asked. Oh, you want this done? All right, I'll figure it out. Leave me alone. Come back later. Yeah.
What has that done for you? Like what with that piece of advice that you got from him, or with what he talks about, what do you think it's done in your career, having that mentality?
Oh, it's definitely made me, dependable. It's definitely made me the guy that, hey, we need someone that will do it, right? And we need someone that will just, so it's definitely made me more money. I know, hey, boss, it's kind of funny that you say that, because when it comes to equipment, I know I'm rough on the equipment, right? But like, it's got to get done. So my boss, he said to me a couple of years ago, he's like, I need someone skilled enough to do this, but I need someone dumb enough to not care if they hit things. He's like, you're my guy, right? And I was like, all right, man, I'm in. And I was running like a sweeper with like a conveyor belt on it, and I had to follow this truck, this end dump truck, and I was sweeping up all the gravel on the road, and I couldn't tell where the truck was because it was so dusty, right? The only way I knew that I wasn't hitting the truck anymore is when the dust cleared and it was hitting the road. And so I'm like, oh, okay. So I speed up, and then I hit him, and I'm like, oh, there he is, right? And then by the end of the day, the wooden planks that was kind of making his box higher, they were destroyed. He was not happy about it, but we got the job done.
Yeah. Has there been any, like, I don't want to say catastrophic, but has there been like a mess up or something that you've done on the job that was like, oof, I shouldn't have done that?
Oh man, all the time. Oh wow. There's, man, I don't know. There's quite a bit of that. Yeah, there's a lot of those moments where it's like, when I was working on a crusher, I was like, again, in my early 20s. They put me in a piece of equipment. I think this is the first time I ever got to operate a piece of equipment. It was a skid steer. And it was my first night shift too, right? Like I'd never worked a night shift before. And I'm just going along, and I'm starting to sleep. And I woke up in the skid steer, and I was on a crusher plant, and there was a big pile piling up on the ground. And I'm like, what the hell? I look, and I ran into the belt and pushed it like 10 feet that way. No one noticed. I cleaned up my mess, and I put the grapple hook things on, and I brought the belt back and set it down. I didn't think anyone noticed. The tower operator was like, I was wondering how long it was going to take for you to figure. They all knew it was my first night shift, right? I was some like 22 years old, and it was my first night shift ever, and they all knew. They all knew.
That's awesome. What's been your favorite moment in your career this far?
Oh man, all the traveling I've gotten to do, right? Like I get to go, I worked up in the Northwest Territories, which is like really close to the Arctic Circle. And I've worked really far south, like close to the US border a lot. And we're all over the place. You know, my office is a different view all the time in the Rocky Mountains, in the Canadian Badlands, which is, you know, where the hoodoos, the dinosaur bones are and stuff like that. And, you know, the only place in Canada that I know of that has scorpions and rattlesnakes, right? So, you know, I got to work down there, and BC up in British Columbia there, looking at all the man-made dams that they built up there. This one dam called the W.C. Bennett Dam. It's outside of Fort. It's in Hope. I don't know what this. Hope. No, not Hope. I don't know. It's somewhere around there. Anyways, it was built out of gravel, right? And it's a dam, right? And they show video and picture of all the rock trucks bringing the gravel in to build this dam, and the conveyor belts and the big gears. The big gears are sitting off to the side. You can take pictures with them and stuff like that. What built this dam that's just made of gravel that just holding this ginormous body of water back somehow.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So basically just, you know, like wildlife and the, you know, the prairie, the mountains, you know, everywhere I go is something cool, right? So it's pretty neat. Right now I'm working in town. So, you know, traffic and the cyclists in the bike lane are hazardous. Fuck, you know, like just seeing that. And, you know, when I'm working away, I'm usually in the woods or on a highway that we've shut down. You can't shut down the city roads, right? You can't shut down a big, busy intersection, right? So trying to weave through traffic during, you know, rush hour and stuff like that, it's presented its own challenges.
Yeah, heck yeah. So you've mentioned this a couple of times, specific to the seasons and hitting your threshold of just being annoyed or pissed off or about to kick someone's ass.
Oh, yeah.
What are three things that, I guess, get your gears going in the oil field?
Man, lazy people for sure. I know that there's a very small tolerance for me, I find, where if I were to work like that, if I were to be lazy, I feel like, and this is a lot to do with my mental health too, right? Like I've BPD, borderline personality disorder. So I constantly feel like everyone's judging me, looking over my shoulder, and having something to say about whatever it is I'm doing. So, you know, lazy people, because I find that if I slow down even a little bit, I feel like my job's in jeopardy, right? Like, oh man, this guy's lazy. This guy's lazy, you know, like we should fire this guy, you know? And, you know, yeah, there's so laziness is a big part of it, right? I always got to keep going, and one day that's probably going to kill me, right? That's definitely tired me out a lot. Right. But I've learned how to kind of, you know, bring that down as I learned how to control my BPD. And, you know, I'd say about 5 years or so ago, I wouldn't take a break during the day. I'd work like 12, 13, 14 hours straight, not take a break. Wouldn't come up for lunch, wouldn't do nothing. And all that did was make me grumpy and not feel good and tired. And, you know, I'm getting better now at, like, you know, stopping and having a little lunch break. All right, stop for 10 minutes, eat. No one's asking you to be a superhero here. Eat, drink the water, you know. And I got this massive water bottle.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, it's important knowing when to accelerate,
Yeah.
decelerate.
Yeah, well, and a big part of that too comes from, like, my dad. My dad said to me, like a lot of people when I was growing up, you know, I worked for him when I was 11 till I was 18, right? Doing the roofing thing. And my dad said, "Oh, he's not a worker. He's not going to be a worker." Right. So what do I do now? All I do is work, because, you know, I'm proving that guy wrong. Right. And it's not good for anybody, but I guess my family and stuff, but not even that. Paying the bills, maybe. You know, there's a guy that you guys should check out, maybe have on your podcast. His name's Ben Allen Curry, and he's out of Texas, works in the oil field in Texas. and he's a singer songwriter as well, right? And he sings a song called "Oilfield Money," and one of the biggest part of that song, one of the lyrics hits so hard. It's "Oilfield Money." I make how's it go? Oilfield money. I make a good life, but I make a good living, but I don't make a good life. Right? Yeah, it's a hell of a song, right? And he's a hell of a guy. I've had him on my podcast twice. He's a solid guy.
That's awesome. Yeah, we'll check him out. I guess with that, not a good life. You've been with your wife since the 11th grade. How do you guys navigate the time that you're away, especially having two littles?
Oh man, so that's evolved over the years, right? How we navigate that. She before we had kids, you know, she would work a lot too, right? She had her own thing going, so we talk. I find this a lot actually. A lot of guys don't talk to their wives every night, right? They're like, no, I haven't talked to her in 2 days. Like I just and me like every chance I get, I'm talking to my wife, right? Whether I got my AirPod in and I'm talking to her, we talk every night. And as I got older, people are like, you're gonna run out of things to say. Well, that's cool, and I don't care. She can be watching a movie in the background then, and as long as we're on the phone together, that's our time together, right? But yeah, as we get older, also she is a stay-at-home mom, and now she has those kids taking up a lot of her time, right? There'll be times where I'll call her, she's like, hey, now's not a good time, I'll call you back in a little bit, right? I think one thing that I've had to learn the hard way the last couple of years here, especially as I discovered I got borderline personality disorder, is communication is key, right? Like I got to tell her, hey, I'm not doing so hot mentally right now, and this is why, and yada yada yada, and we talk. And also, while I'm away, I might not be home for a month at a time, right? I still got to be a husband, right? There can't be like, oh no, Dick's in work mode right now. Oh yeah, Dick's at work, but Dick also still has to be a husband, right? Like we gotta make time to still be married while I'm away. Just because I'm not present doesn't mean I can't give her presents, right? So, and that's not presents like gifts. That's like I gotta call her and talk to her, and still, we gotta talk a little dirty on the phone, at nighttime. That's still, hey, what are you wearing? Stuff like that. Yeah, I still gotta do that, and balancing that with kids too. I still got to be a dad while I'm away too, right? So it's kind of it's tricky. It's tricky, but we make it work.
Yeah.
Something that you've brought up a few times now is just your own mental health, and I think that's kind of a across the board struggle that no one really talks about. I think it's getting better. People are more aware of protecting their mental health. It sounds like you've done a lot of work on yourself, and you seem like you're in a good spot. What's your advice to people that are going through mental health struggles?
So a lot of people, and once again, I had to learn this the hard way. A lot of people think that asking for help or asking for advice and talking is weak, right? Like I can't be vulnerable. And you know what? Like I've come to realize like the manliest thing you can do is talk, ask for help. That is it takes a lot. It takes balls to ask for help, right? Like, especially as men, we're proud, right? Asking for help is the manliest thing you can do, right? And that is one thing that I've been driving home. Like if you want to be an alpha, you want to be a man, ask for the help, like ask for the help. Cause I guarantee you everyone that like on my podcast, I force the conversation all the time, right? Like there are two types of people on the internet and probably in real life. There are people who are open about it and people who aren't ready to admit it, right? Like everyone's going through something, whether you know it or not. Like I made a video the other day that was like, when I'm in the middle of telling a funny story and everyone's like, oh, sorry you went through that, right? I didn't realize that my funny stories were, about my childhood and shit that I went through. I didn't realize that, in my 20s especially, I'm like, that's nothing, until it became something like 10 years later where it was like, oh shit, the shit that I went through, that actually did fuck me up, but it took a long time to present itself. My wife said something like super powerful to me when I first got diagnosed, and when, it was a very emotional time. We were going through just figuring it out. She's like, every day for 20 years, I've had to fight you for you. because no one else was coming, right? You didn't know, and you were too the pride, right? I had like, you can't see me, the John Cena, and pride, right? And so she's like, every day for 20 years, I've had to fight you for you, right? And that broke me. That was like shit, man. Like, like that brought me to tears, really.
Give me chill bumps. That's very, very heavy.
I think
Yeah, it was
there's
very
a lot of
heavy. I think
wives out there that can relate. Yeah.
Yeah, man. And last year when I was going through that, it was crazy because I think it was in January where I got diagnosed with BPD. Right. So I was kind of like healing mentally a little bit, but kind of not really. I was really busy. I had to work a lot. Right. And then in February, I broke my ankle. Right. So I had 5 months off. So I couldn't move off the couch. So my wife was like, well, now you're healing physically. You can't really move. Now you're going to heal mentally too, right? And you can't run away from it now, right? And so, yeah, that was crazy. I had like 5 months of just reflection time, I guess, and it was a lot.
How valuable was that 5 months to you?
Honestly, man, it was everything. It's invaluable, really. It's priceless. On my podcast, I had BetterHelp sponsor my podcast we went on a 3-month run around that time. And with that, I got free therapy sessions out of it. Right. So for like 3-4 months, I think it lasted for, yeah, man. And so there was no, hey, sorry, I'm working 14 hours today. I can't make time for a therapy session today. It was like, no, you're not working right now. You've got time for a therapy session like 3 times a week. And on top of that, BetterHelp's got like these classes that you can sit on where you're not talking to a therapist, you're listening to someone else talk and share like their own things. And there are classes that you can participate in and share with others, but there are ones where they just throw information at you and you're sitting there writing it down. I think the first one I joined in, it was 6 a.m. It's like 6 o'clock in the morning, and I don't have to be anywhere. I don't have to go to work. Why am I getting up at 6 a.m.? But it was about borderline personality disorder. My wife literally pushed me onto the couch and was like, hey, learn, pen and paper. Here you go.
Wow.
Yeah. It was very valuable. It was incredible.
How did you find that resource? Did they come to you? Did you go to them?
I reached out to them probably about a year prior to that. And just with everything that was going on, I don't know. Have you guys gotten any sponsorships for the show yet?
Nothing formal, no.
Oh man, go after them. So like it took like a year between like, hey, yeah, we're going to check you out. You send them your insights. They look them over. They send you the paperwork and stuff like that. And then they find a slot for you to fit it. It was like a year.
Wow.
Yeah, no, it was probably less than that. I think it was like August, and then so February, so like 6 months. Yeah, 6 months. It felt like a year.
Yeah. I'm still trying to process everything. That was some very good advice, and just I say this a lot. This is something that I've learned is just looking at the man in the mirror and just being real. You can't lie to yourself. You shouldn't be able to lie to yourself, I guess I should say. And
yeah, man, you should be able to be. You should be when you look in the mirror. You should look at yesterday, and you should be happy with how yesterday went, right? And if you're not happy with how yesterday went, right, you have today to change. Change how okay, I'll look at it this way. I'll word it this way. When I start like a new project at work, right? Like right now we're finishing up one project, we're heading to the next project. Everything that went wrong at this project, I have an opportunity to start fresh at the new one and change everything about how I went about things at the last project and make my life easier. Okay, like mid project is like too late to like tear it all down now, right? So it's like I'll just ride out how painful this is for the next week or two, and then look forward to day one on the next one and just change what I didn't like or how everything happened, right? And that today that was today for me for the different division, right? So I'm kind of new here, so like this is we're moving into our third project, and the first project that we were on, I was learning, right? And, midway through, I'm like, all right, I want to change up some things how I did here. The second project, I made it better, but it wasn't as good as it could be. And this one, now, like, all right, we're gonna tinker and tweak a few things. So yeah, it's today was that day. Today and tomorrow.
How often do those plans work out though? Like truly?
Never. Like something's gonna go wrong. Something's gonna go wrong, and I'm gonna have to adapt on the fly. And like back to the borderline personality disorder. I grew up in a very chaotic household, right? So that's why I kind of have what I have, but I thrive in the chaos, right? When things are going really smooth, it's like, this is boring, right? This is what the hell's going on here. But I thrive in the chaos. So like when it's chaotic, it's like, yeah, right. That's why I joined the oil field. That's why I work in construction, blue collar in general. Nothing goes according to plan ever, right? And it's very chaotic. You never know when the wheels are going to completely fall off, and I thrive for that. It's not good that I thrive in that because like the whole goal is to get better and heal, right? Like so back to my wife with the whole chaos thing with the BPD. In the morning now, she forces me the night before, get your clothes out at 7 o'clock, that you're 8 o'clock, whatever. Before you go to bed, get your clothes out the night before. That way, you're not like scrambling around in the dark, struggling to find what you're going to wear. Make your lunch the night before. That way you're not getting up that extra hour or whatever to have to make your lunch, and, control whatever you can. Right. And that's what she like really drives home for me, especially to help with my mental health. Right. Cause getting the clothes the night before, all I got to do is wake up and, they're right there. Put them on. Make the lunch the night before. I'm not losing a little bit of sleep. I'm gaining as much sleep as I can, right? And making that lunch the night before, and just setting yourself up for success the next day, not failure, right? And you wake up in a rush, your whole day is going to shit.
Can you go into borderline personality disorder a little bit more and describe what it is? What are the symptoms? How should someone identify it? If they haven't been formally diagnosed, what are the signs of it?
So it's like you have a really hard time regulating your mood, right? A really hard time. A lot of it is like a lot of it could be, there's many symptoms: depression, burnout. You're constantly drowning in your own thoughts. And I'll say about that one, my wife made me start journaling a lot. And when I started journaling, when I started talking about what was going on, my inner dialogue shut right off.
Wow.
Right? Because you're taking the thoughts from up here and you're giving them a place to go, right? Rather than sitting around in here, and then you read it out and you're like, oh, okay. And so, yeah. So my wife, okay, we'll be having a conversation. And a lot of it is, what's that word I'm looking for here? So there's two conflicting truths, right? That I got to have at all times. There's got to be, it can't be very black and white, because with BPD is very black and white. It's like, oh, you hate me. Oh, you love me. Right. But so two conflicting truths is, my wife and I are arguing. She's like, I don't want to talk to you right now. Right. I just need a space. Okay. My wife needs space, but my wife doesn't hate me. My wife needs space. She will come back and we'll talk, right? It's a lot of abandonment issues, right? A lot of it's from abandonment, right? My mom and my dad, they split when I was 6. And a lot of my memories started after that. I don't have any memories of cuddling on the couch with my mom. I don't have any memories of celebrating birthdays with my mom. Or I don't even have this one fucked me right up. Christmas. I don't even remember anything to do with Christmas with my mom, right? And she moved. So when they split, she moved 8 hours away. Right. So I never seen her really. I know we talked on the phone, but like even now, and she'll probably listen to this. Maybe she listens to mine, and I have this conversation a lot, but she doesn't ever say anything back to me about it. So I don't know. But so because of that, right, we never had that bonding thing, whatever it is. And I feel very indifferent towards my mom. And the worst part is I can feel her indifference back. and I don't think she feels it, or she's never said anything, right? So, a lot of that is okay. Like my mom, like when my wife, when let's say we're having a disagreement, and she goes to hang up the phone. Oh shit, that sends me back to 6 years old, right? Like she's never coming back, right? But that's not true, right? So I had a bad day, or yeah. So it's two conflicting truths. I've had a bad day, but it could have been worse, right? Or yeah, hey, I got pissed on today, like rain wise. At least I didn't get shit on, right? Like, at least like just two conflicting truths all the time. Every time I'm in a situation, I got to find two, like, yeah, it was bad, but it was good at the same time, right? So yeah, it's a lot of that. And when I got diagnosed, you have to have 5 of the 9 qualities or whatever, 5 of the 9 categories or whatever. I had 8 of the 9, and if you really want to take it a step further, I had 9 of the 9. I lied about the last one.
You're an A+ student.
Hey, we've come full circle. Yeah, no, it's pretty crazy, man. Like, and I didn't really lie about the last one. The last one was like self-harm, right? A lot of people with BPD like self-harm. They'll cut. A lot of them have a lot of suicidal ideations. I've never had the suicidal ideations. Too egotistical for that, I think. But no, but self-harm shows up in a lot of different ways other than cutting, and you could put yourself in situations that are harmful to you, or like I speed. I can shave 2 hours off in arrival time, no problem, right? And I get a thrill. I'm like, fuck yeah, hammered down, let's go, right? And that's reckless. That, you know what I mean? That's pretty reckless, and I do it all the time, right? A lot of people, my dad, he never really had the cutting thing or whatever, but he puts himself in harmful situations such as promiscuous sexual behavior, right? That's very harmful. Yeah.
How many people do you this is a kind of open question, but there's got to be a lot of people out there that just deal with this undiagnosed with no resources, no help. If there is someone out there, and I'm super thankful that you talk about this, by the way. I mean, I think it's very helpful for people to hear, especially in the blue collar world. It's a masculine, for the most part, world, and people are very prideful and have a big ego. But I do know a lot of people do struggle on the day to day. So what's step one to helping themselves?
Admit you have a problem. Admit you're feeling down, and admit that there's just something off, right? And you said, a lot of people have a hard time opening up and admitting it. It's funny because BPD, up until recently, or probably even now, is typically considered a woman's thing, right? Because a lot of women have BPD. And I know, since I've been diagnosed, a lot of my inner circle that I've talked to on the internet, a guy named Justin, the bearded dad on TikTok, I've had him on my podcast. He got diagnosed with BPD this past year, right? And that makes sense. He has had the suicidal ideations, right? He's tried to hang himself. He's tried to multiple times, and he's just felt off. And a lot of it, you look at his background, his life coming up, it makes sense, right? I had a whole podcast called Alphabet Soup with a woman that I had no idea she had BPD. We just started talking because she's blue collar. And the first 25 minutes, in that first 2 minutes, we discovered, hey, I have BPD. Oh, so do I. And we just the first 25 minutes of that whole episode was just us talking about, BPD and what we experience and what we go through and stuff like that. And yeah, it's crazy. And I have a friend, her name's Kylie. She's also on TikTok. She's probably got BPD, the most severe I've ever seen anyone have it. Right? And she's just a warrior with it. She's just she's like, I'm healing, not heal. I'll fuck your day up. Right. And yeah, it's she owns that shit. But there's a lot of accounts on TikTok that I follow, and Instagram too, that of people that have BPD and what they experience, what they go through. And everyone can make a video you can relate to at some point or another, but there's a lot of accounts out there where I just I relate to that.
Do you recognize it in people just randomly? People that you've just met or see out in the field or
Yeah,
walking around interacting with?
absolutely. Absolutely. I do. Once I, got my shit and I realized what was happening to me and what I was going through. It's like, yeah, so the guy that you think is an asshole that treats everyone like shit, right? He's going through something, right? A lot of people, and this might have been said a lot this month, but a lot of people see mental health as just like, oh, you're drowning in your thoughts and you're sad and yada yada yada. That guy tweaking on the corner, that guy's going through some shit. That guy's got some mental health issues. The guy like walking around downtown, I said tweaking, but another guy walking around downtown, like talking to himself, hasn't shaved in like, 2 years and wearing holy shoes and whatnot, a homeless guy, whatever, for lack of a better word. He's going through it, right? A lot of people think of it as just, oh no, you're sad and you're down and out and like you need help this way. Man, everyone's going through it, right? And it's not always BPD, obviously, but like, it's there's a lot of shit. I can generally tell now, like when someone's being an asshole, for instance. I'm like, all right, I worked with this guy. He was my boss like when I was 20, and he was a dick. He was the biggest dick I've ever met. Right? Super tall dude. And we got to talking one day, and the guy got drafted pretty high by the New York Mets. And he threw his arm out, never played a game, and now he's in construction. And so that tells you why he's a dick, right? Like this guy could have been living a luxurious life somewhere as a pro athlete. Instead, now he's foreman at a construction company.
Yeah, it takes just an instant for your life to change. Just a second in your life.
Absolutely. I say that a lot, like especially the way the economy's going, right? And the cost of living, inflation and stuff like that. We're all like one bad month away from living on the street, right? You know what I mean? Like, not everybody, you might have a little bit of comfort there, but we're being priced out of our lives, right? And yeah, it's crazy, man. Like, when I first started in the oil field, oil field money was good, right? Oil field money was awesome. You're stacking 150 grand a year. And it was like, fuck yeah, this is awesome, right? Now, and my wife's a stay-at-home mom, and every year that gets harder and harder to do, right? It's like, shit, man, like if I didn't make money on the internet, like with my content and stuff like that, like, I don't know where I'd be right now. That definitely provided like a pretty decent cushion over the last couple of years.
Yeah. Good. I think it's a good segue into your podcast. Can you tell us about your podcast?
Your content, just the whole works.
Yeah, all your content that you're putting out online.
Yeah. So the podcast, I was originally part of another podcast with another guy. I was kind of like the comedic relief, I guess, a little bit, and he was the more serious guy. And we went 10 episodes, and it crashed, right? Like the average podcast does, and I was all in, and the other guy, he was half out, right? So when that kind of crashed and burned, I was like, I'm not done here, like I'm not done. I want to keep going with this. And so it took me a couple months. I licked my wounds. I sat back. I'm like, all right, it's time. So I jumped into it, and I didn't know how long it was going to last. And that was 3.5 years ago, 183 episodes ago now, I just had to keep going, right? And I didn't know what I was going to call it. But so I was on site one night, and this was very early on in my content creation, the start of it. I was on site, and I was walking to the porta potties on site, and I'm like, man, there's got to be some content in the bathroom, right? And so I went back. I was halfway to the bathroom. I walked back to the truck. I got my phone. I'm like, just in case something pops up, right? And so I started. I'm like, what do I call this thing? And it was tips in the bathroom, right? And like on the potty, and I'm like, no, on the throne with Dick, right? And so the first like 3 episodes are me like talking about, you don't need a shower if the blue water gives you one first, right? The difference between 1-ply and 2-ply toilet paper and stuff like that. And then, after episode 3, I was going to hang out with a buddy of mine, and he's like, man, you should interview other people from the toilet. I'm like, hell yeah, man. So he was the first guy. We did it in the mall bathroom in Edmonton here. And I just passed him the phone. I went up, I said whatever I did, and I passed it underneath the stall, and I left that part recording and went back and forth for a minute. And then after that, it went pretty good until episode like 2021. And then, I kind of fizzled out a little bit, but it took a lot. It wanted to be in person. Right. So then when I was starting my own podcast, I'm like, well, what do I call this? I'm like, well, I already have On the Throne with Dick. So then I was like, fuck it, On the Throne with Dick it is. And, that's what we've done. And I've done only one episode from the toilet. So yeah.
Was that the first one?
No, it was, I don't even know what number it was, but it was way before 6 months before episode 100. It was definitely before episode 100. And it was not a good episode at all. Like the echo of the bathroom, the lighting, and just like, yeah, the guy got drunk while we were sitting on the toilet, and it wasn't a good episode. It was comedic, but it wasn't any good.
How many minutes until your legs fell asleep?
I think before we even started, I even sat there for the first little bit. I'm like, if I move it back a little bit and pull my pants down, and I did that. And the whole time my pants were down, you could see my legs. It was awkward. It was terrible. I don't even think that the video that went on YouTube, I think I accidentally deleted that file before it made it to YouTube.
Guidelines would have been flagged for you.
Oh, for sure, man.
So you have guests on your podcast. I'm sorry, I have not listened to your podcast. I'm for sure going to check it out. What's the topic? What's it all about?
Blue collar work, and it started off as, let's interview other oil field guys. And then it's like, well, I'm more than just oil field, right? And if we go just the oil field route, you're never going to get, the blue collar crowd in general to listen, right? You can only tell oil field stories so much before it gets boring and redundant. So, a lot of oil field, but a lot of like everything, welders, carpenters. This week, I think we had a girl who was an ice road trucker. She trucked on ice roads, worked in mines. Last week, we had a woman from here in Canada who just got her Red Seal electrician. She's that. And then, sometimes it doesn't even have to be a blue collar worker. Just someone I found interesting. I got a lesbian from Toronto on once just because I think her content's hilarious and I wanted to talk to her. I think she's in law, like the police force in Toronto out there. I had Ed the Sock on. I don't know if you know who Ed the Sock is, but I had Ed the Sock, Talking Sock from MTV back in the day. But Much Music, I think it actually was. And then I had Dave Marciano from Wicked Tuna on. I had him on, and that was cool, right? I think fishing might be blue collar, but yeah, I just wanted to talk to them, right? And then we had a couple people on who had their own podcasts that aren't in blue collar, but it's just you have a podcast, I have a podcast. There's our our starting ground, and we can relate that way. And you scratch my back, I scratch yours. I have you on mine, you have me on yours, and maybe we introduce a whole new group of people to our shows, right? And yeah, so it's just that, right? Just having conversations with men and women in blue collar.
Yeah, definitely. The content. How did you come across, or how did you start doing all that? Just posting, because it's a task, posting and doing all that content stuff.
I was once again down mentally, right? And my wife, it was the beginning of COVID, 6 years. My sister and my wife were sending me videos. They were texting me TikToks to my phone, and I really didn't want to watch them. I'm like, TikToks for losers. Get that shit away from me, right? I don't want that. And so instead of them texting me and my phone going off all the time, I created a TikTok account. I'm like, you can send them to there and I'll never open them, right? Just send away, right? And then one day I was in camp. I was bored. I started watching them. I'm like, man, this shit's kind of funny, right? But I don't see much in the way of, blue collar content. It's something that I can relate to, right? And but other stuff like parenting and marriage stuff and it's just funny in general. So I created what I wanted to see, which is blue collar stuff. So, like this, the kind of people we run into, the kind of things we overhear, the people we deal with, things, situations we see and come across. And so I just started putting that in like little skits, I guess. And I'd hear a sound, or I even do it now. And sometimes I'll sit on a sound on TikTok for, I think one I've been sitting on for like a year. Just, I know I can use it somehow, but I don't know quite how I want to use it yet. And then one day it'll be like, all right, that's how I want to use it. All right. Like one time I was driving back from work and I saw a porta potty on the side of the road, and I'm like, oh, I have an idea for that sound now. And I want to do it in a porta potty. Right. So I stopped and I'm like, what would go really good with this is like, I don't know, a prop of some sort. Right. One time I was driving back, I had like 40 minutes to go. And I put the truck on an angle, like kind of in a ditch. And it's funny, right? It's like, hey, you know what? Like, it's not your fault that you hit that ditch. Maybe that ditch hit you, and then I'm like, but it'd be really funny with like a fruit by the foot, right? So I drove 40 minutes back to my hotel, got a fruit by the foot, and drove back to the porta potty just to take the video. And it got like 3 million views on it. So it was worth it.
Yeah, that is worth it. That's hilarious.
You got to risk it for the biscuit sometimes.
Heck
Even
yeah.
if it got 2,000 views, I think it'd be worth it. I don't care about the views and the likes. I stopped caring about that like a few years ago. Like if it gets 2,000 views or 1,000 views or whatever, someone that can relate to it somehow off of that. And honestly, it's counterproductive the more views it gets, right? Because you can get a 2 million view video and half of them will be calling you idiots, right? You're an idiot. If you did more work and less making videos, but I don't care. I just came off a 22 million view month on Facebook. That's crazy. One of the videos I made had 10.6 million views on it. And it was like the shit I'm doing when my wife asked me for the code, the 6-digit code.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you saw that one?
Yeah.
I'm just working. Yeah, that got like 10 million views on it. And then the other video I made like the next day got 4 million. I think it was when my wife leaves me nice notes in my lunch, and it's like, you forgot to empty the dishwasher, you fucking idiot, right? And yeah, and that one did pretty good too, right? But like a lot of people, a lot of people laughed at it, but then a lot of people were like, "Oh, that's divorce. You need to find yourself a new wife. Yeah, that's fucked. Yeah, isn't she the dishwasher?" Like a lot of people, and I'm gonna say probably this is how I've kept my marriage going for so long too. A lot of people are like, "Wow, like you're working all day. Like, why can't she empty the dishwasher?" Well, I was like, we both live here for one. Hey, we both live here. That's my mess too. I'm gonna clean it. And like, oh, well, you do manly things around the house. Now there are no pink and no blue jobs at our house. They're all just like, she'll change a light bulb while I mop the floor. I don't give a shit. Something's getting done.
Yeah, it's teamwork.
And because I work away so much, she has to be the man of the house a lot, right? Like all the tools in this house are hers. She got a tool bag full of like drills and hammers and screwdrivers and shit. I know nothing about that. This is not my bag. That's hers. She fixes everything in the house. She fixed the spark plugs in the car a couple months ago. I don't know nothing about that. She watched a YouTube video and she handled it.
YouTube University. I like it.
Yeah, I wish my kids would knock that shit off. Learn how to talk back.
What does it feel like to reach 10 million people on one video? I mean, that's crazy, man.
That is, yeah, that's crazy. Right now I'm watching a lot of FIFA, and there are 80,000 people in those stadiums. And that's only a fraction of the people that have watched that video, right? Like, that's crazy. Like, that's 10 million people is the population of Chicago, right? That's wild. It's wild. My highest view video ever is like 12.7 million, right? And that's crazy. I watched that video grow 100,000 a day for like a while. It was crazy. It's crazy.
What's the feeling inside seeing that?
There's a lot of serotonin spikes, right? Like you're just like, yeah. But it's counterproductive too, because after this month is over, my insights are going to come out and it's like, oh, your video views are down 800% this month, right? Like, you do better. You've fallen off, right? And it's like, oh man, am I no good anymore? No, that was just a really good month, right? Like, for a long time I was averaging 14 million views a month on Facebook, right? And then, I went down to, 2 million. Oh shit, you suck now. You suck at making videos. Boo, right? and you get that gets in your head, right? Yeah, I'm like, yeah, okay, the numbers are great, but like that's not everything. I'm having fun and I'm connecting and just I'm making myself laugh, and that's really what I want the most. And my kids get a kick out of it too. So like, that's a lot of fun. I had the What No Way guy. He's What No Way. He lives near me a couple hours south of me here. And he said something on my podcast about when he got his YouTube play button. He said, that's cool and everything, but the coolest part about that is my kids watch YouTube. And now I can say that I have a YouTube play button and they're like, Dad, you got a YouTube play button. They're more excited than he is about it, right? So like when my kids are always on YouTube watching their thing, and I'm trying to really cut that down, but they're doing their thing and they see me on there and they're like, that's my dad on YouTube, right? That's crazy, right? And that's a crazy feeling that my kids are watching YouTube and they're coming across my content. And so like I made a video. I try to include my daughters in some of my videos. I made one with them the other day, or my youngest anyways. My oldest doesn't, she could care less, but my youngest is like, yeah, I want to make that video. And she's really good at lip syncing too. So yeah, she's only 6. It's crazy.
You're their superhero, that's how it should be as a dad.
Oh man, I shouldn't be anyone's superhero. I'm like the anti-hero. I'm like, I don't know if I'm cool enough to be Deadpool, but that'd be sweet.
So what does life look like outside of work? Obviously you work a lot. Do you have any hobbies?
Podcasting and trying not to fall asleep before 8 o'clock.
That's hard.
Yeah. I like going hiking a lot. I don't do it so much in the last little bit, but after work a lot, especially when I'm in a hotel, depending where I am, I like to go exploring the area that I'm working in, and especially from the Rockies or like in the woods and stuff like that. I took a crew truck one time, brand new crew truck, on a hike, right? I'm like, all right, I'm gonna drive to this hiking trail and I'm gonna this goes good with that story. Have you ever fucked up? So that's good. I took it to this goat trail and I'm like, all right, I could park here, or I could go down a little bit and park there and then like walk in. So I take this brand new crew truck in, right? Brand new, like not a lot of kilometers or miles on it. And it was raining. So first of all, I should never went in there, but I did. So I took it in there and then I'm like, all right, I should turn around now. And so there wasn't very much room to turn around. So I start turning around, I back up, forward, back up, and then I get stuck. I'm like, shit. So I managed to get back to the way that I was, and I went forward and I didn't see the creek bed sitting there. And the front end just took a nosedive right into the creek bed. I'm like, shit. Right. And I'm panicking, I'm freaking out. It's raining. We're in the woods. There's bears around. And so no cell service whatsoever. So I ran as much as I could until I got cell service. It ended up being an hour and a half before I got cell service. I called my boss, who he was already drinking. He was already on one. And I'm like, hey man, like I need help here. Right. Like, and he was one of my bosses. The other boss, he's a bit more of a hard ass. I'm like, man, you cannot tell Brent. Don't tell Brent. Right. Like, please don't. Like, I need your help. So he's like, all right, send me your location. Location didn't go very well, right? But eventually it got to someone, and I just walked towards the road. And before someone got to me, it was like an hour later, someone found me, and they're like, all right, let's go get your truck. It was a bitch to get out. Like, it was hard. So, and it was covered in mud now at this point. I get back to the hotel, I park it, and the next morning I get up and I took it to the car wash really early and I was washing it. I bring it back. I park it. My boss, Brent, he's like, where were you at? And I'm like, oh, just out having I went to Tim Hortons, got a coffee, I couldn't sleep. It's like, oh yeah. He's like, oh yeah. He's like, well, why is the truck so dirty? Right? It was still dirty. It wasn't the greatest wash, but like, and I'm like, honestly, man, it's raining, it's muddy, yada, yada, yada. I found out like a year later, he knew the whole time. He was with my other boss. They were having some drinks together, right? And he knew the whole time, right? And I kind of had a feeling when he's like looking at it and looking underneath the undercarriage and stuff like that. It's like, why is this thing so dirty, right? Like that was like a moment where I wanted to cry, right? Like when the truck hit the riverbed.
Dang.
Man.
Now
I do
I'm
a lot of dumb shit like that. High risk, high reward. Sometimes no reward.
yeah. We do sometimes ask some of the guests that are in cool. I mean, every person that we've had has had great stories, great advice that they've given us, and they've also given us great stories. Do you have a great story from the oil field and then a great story from working in road construction?
Oh man, lots of them. Nothing like the blonde welder though. I've never done coke with my boss, and I've never slept with my boss either. So shout out to her, I love her. She's been on my podcast twice. Oh wow, great story. Like, what kind of stories are we talking about here? Because there's
Anything you're willing to share.
Oh my god. Okay, so yeah, chances are he's not gonna listen. So I'll share that one. On the road crew, right?
Let me find this guy. What's his name? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, shit. So on the road crew there, I think it was like 8 years ago or so. My coworker, I don't really drink with the guys. I don't drink at all, really. And I'm known as the DD. You want to go out and have a good time, I'll be your DD. And chances are I won't go back to the hotel or camp or whatever to sit there and wait for you to call me. I don't have time for that. I don't want to get up at 3 a.m. and drive to wherever you are. I'll just sleep in the parking lot and wait for you. And so I did that. And this guy, he's like, man, when you come back, he's like, I'll buy you a steak for the ride home. Like I'm still waiting on that steak 8 years later. But so I crawl up in the back seat. I'm having a nap, and like 2:30 in the morning, I was just banging up, let us in. We gotta go. Right. They started a fight with the guys in the bar in this small town. And I guess Buddy lost his cell phone in the bar. Right. Like couldn't find his cell phone. Next day we're in the hotel. We're rained out. We're just hanging out there. And I guess he's entertaining one of our lady coworkers. And his wife couldn't get a hold of him all day. So she drove the 3 hours out to come to him. And that ended up being a domestic violence. The police were there and everything. Oh, yeah, it was a good time. It was a good time. That was one of my favorite moments. I was his next door neighbor. I didn't even have to go outside. I cracked my door open and went and sat down and just listened.
Like a real life episode of Cops.
Oh, dude, it was crazy. And like she would show up quite a bit too after that. Like she would just randomly pop in.
Yeah. Ruin the trust.
Yeah. Oh, fuck. Dude, yeah, that's from the road, from the oil field, man. There's way too many stories there. I think one of the best things that ever happened was my first job in the oil field, where I wanted to buy my wife some flowers. I wanted to buy her some flowers. My coworker's like, "Why flowers, bro?" And I'm like, I just want to say, hey, I'm sorry for working away so much. I'm sorry for being away. I hadn't been paid yet. I was like, on payday, my first payday, I'm buying the wife some flowers. He's like, flowers, man, buy the woman a car, right? And I had no idea what he was talking about. But then like 22-year-old me gets my very first paycheck, right? And I'm like, fuck the flowers. I'm buying my wife a car, man. This is great. Sorry for being it took me like 2 years to get her a car, right? It was like, obviously that was a very expensive gesture, so I just stuck with the flowers. But yeah, like, I'm buying my wife a car, right? And that was like, that was 16 years ago.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's great.
We had a listener comment on one of our more recent videos with a really good question. What have you had to sacrifice to get to where you're at today?
Wow. My mental health and my sanity, probably, but time with the family for sure. This is why, with my podcast making me a little bit of money and my content making me a little bit of money now, I'm able to buy back a little bit of time with my family, right? And being home in this division a little bit. I said this a lot in the last like 6-7 months. When I was 20 years old in my early 20s, I'd go away. I was chasing money, right? I was chasing money the whole time. The whole time now, especially, I find myself chasing home, right? I'm chasing home instead of the money. And, biggest reason, I agreed to transfer to this division is because I get to be home every night, right? And make that same money. So now I get to make the money, but also be home every night and get some of that time back. I know the other day we got rained out and my daughter went off to like equestrian camp or whatever the hell they want to call it. She went out for first time ever going to camp and being away from home. And, my wife had to go drop her off and I was ready. I got to go home. I got to go with them, right? I got to go drop them off and check it out and whatnot. This past year and a bit, broke my ankle. I got to be on the parent teacher council at my daughter's school, right? And that was cool. I got to take part in that stuff, and teachers know me now. I volunteer on field trips when I'm home, when I'm available. I get to help set up for school dances. I got to watch my kids' kindergarten celebration graduation thing with Bobber, buying back that time a little bit, right? And that's crazy that that I get to do that and partake in a lot of that stuff now that I had to sacrifice and miss so much of it over the years, right? Just not being home. Hey, I try not to miss like holidays and Christmases and like birthdays and stuff like that. Like with Thanksgiving and stuff, it's kind of okay, well, I got to go back to work here. Let's have Thanksgiving a week early, or I come home here. Let's have it a week later. And, birthdays, I try to be home for the day, but I definitely am home. I think I've only missed one of their actual days. I definitely am home for the day and the party. So I can't miss that stuff, right? So, and that's the reason why I keep going back to the vac truck too, where I can set my own schedule because I can come home when I want to.
Yeah, that's awesome that you're getting that. I mean, at the end, when it's the end for all of us, I don't think we're going to be wondering if we could make that extra couple grand. It's going to be time spent with our family. At least it is.
Man, 100%. My daughter, this is really hard actually, is my oldest daughter, because, when she was first born and my wife stayed home with the kids now, we had to make it work somehow where it's like, okay, well, I got to work extra. I got to work more so you can stay home more. Right. And so my oldest daughter, right, it's only been like the last couple of years where she's been really comfortable with me being even alone with her. Right. Because I was never her safe space. I was never the person that was there for her all the time. Right. She only knew me through FaceTime or coming home and, oh, I'm only here for 5-6 days and then I'm gone again. Right. So like, there are times now where my wife will go away and she's like, I'll stay home. I'll stay home with dad. You go to the store. I'll be right here. It's really weird in when I was home. A lot of it happened when I was home with my ankle too. She would bring me snacks and drinks and stuff because I recuperated in the basement, really far away from the kitchen, right? I put on enough weight when I was off. I didn't need that extra, right? So she would bring me snacks and stuff, and she'd be like, "You need anything? You need what? Like anything you need, I'm here." And so there's a lot of that where she's we grew, we bonded a lot in the last even 2 years, I guess, year and a half even, I'd say, where she misses me when I go away now, right? So before it was like she could care less, right? So it's kind of nice to have all that, like when I first started coming home a lot more too, like I don't know how to say it without sounding weird. Like it was weird giving my kids a hug, right? It was kind of like, give me a hug, and it was like an awkward one where it was like, we don't know how to do this, right? But now it's like, yeah, get in here, give me a hug, snuggle into me, right? Like, and a part of that, a lot of the mental health stuff is to do with that too, right? Not knowing where I fit into my own kids' lives, right? Yeah.
That's crazy. It's really exciting though that you're building that relationship with your daughters.
Yeah, man, it's really good. I really want to have them on my podcast for an episode too, right? I've been talking about it for a while. I think we're there. I think we're there where we can have banter back and forth, especially my youngest. My youngest is mouthy, and it's like talking to an 8-year-old or 18-year-old. Sorry, it's like having a conversation with an 18-year-old, but she's 6, right? She'll tell me to go fuck myself, and she knows big words and how to use them, and like really well. And then, it's hard to parent someone like that because you're having this conversation. You're like, oh yeah, I'm talking to an adult. And then you go to like treat her like an adult. And then she throws a temper tantrum like a 6-year-old. Right. And it's like, how do I deal with that? Right. And so, yeah, I think we've got good enough banter back and forth, and we can kind of talk about some things and land on some things where it would be a good episode.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I think that'd be a really cool element to your podcast.
Then she can see herself on YouTube, right? So that'd be.
You're making me look into my future right now. You have 2 daughters?
Yeah.
Cody's got 2 sons, and I've got a son and daughter. So it's definitely interesting seeing the difference between the boy girl. They're twins, so same age, but yeah, 2 years old. I can already see it in my daughter. Like she's gonna
2.
She's 2.
Oh man, yeah, you're in trouble.
She's gonna be fiery.
Oh yeah, man. This is the part. I'm trying to make a video out of it, but this is the part right here. We've been, been waiting for it. Like my daughters want to help around the house now. Like, hey, you go do the dishes. I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna relax, right? Like you go take the garbage out. Like I've been forced to do this shit like forever.
Yep.
I remember when my daughter was like a year and a half too, and we had a dog at the time, and the dog was outside doing its thing, and I was cleaning up its mess, and my daughter sat at the door laughing at me like, right? Like your turn's fucking coming, and we're here, right? Like don't have a dog yet, but she wants one so badly, and I think that's the perfect excuse is to get one just so she can clean up after it.
And you stand at the door laughing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, with all the time that you have spent away from your family, where you're at in your career, would you recommend what you did and what you're continually doing to someone else that's interested in the trades?
I mean, if you're young and you don't have a family, absolutely. And if you do have a family, okay, so yeah, I spent a lot of time away, but also at the same time, like where else can you get 7 straight days off of undivided attention? Like I get set. So when I was home, right? But Gord, I have a buddy named Gord, and he had his own podcast for a while. And after like 4 years, he walked away. He's like, man, it's bittersweet, but it's time, right? I've given all I can to it. And the last episode I had him on my podcast, he's like, even the guys that don't work away, they're gone a lot. Right. Like, and I didn't really truly understand that until, I switched to this division where, I wake up at 4:30, my kids are asleep. Right. I go to work. I come home sometimes at, 8, 9 o'clock. They're asleep. Right. I still didn't get to see them that day. Right. And I'm home. How is it that I'm home and I still haven't got to, hug them or talk to them, have a conversation with them in 3 days? Right. And so, yeah, man. Like, yeah, I had a brain fart there. What was the question?
Would you recommend what you do to anybody looking or on the fence?
Yeah, absolutely. Like it pays you back in more than just money, for one, right? Like I know the oil fields pay me back in, structure, sort of, and working towards something bigger than myself. Like it's taught me how to keep going even when I don't want to. Like after it's been an 18-hour day. The next morning comes really fast. My feet don't want to hit the floor, but they swing over and they hit it anyway. Right. And my back is sore. And I made a video about it last week, where it was like, the green hand after his first day, the next morning after the first day where he's like, getting out of bed all sore and tired. And the caption of that was like, after 30, it's every day. Right. It doesn't matter how hard it was. It was just, but like, yeah, I definitely recommend it. It's just provided my family a good life. Like we get to go on trips and we get to go on vacations and we get to go and experience things. They want to go bowling and it's like, wow, that's $100 night right there. Well, $100 is a lot, right? Especially right now, right? Well, can we afford $100? I don't ever want to be like, can we afford that? Like, yeah, of course we can afford that, right? Because why work? Why can't I afford that? Like, yeah, I might work away a lot, but yeah, at least we can afford to do things. And, my wife gets to be a stay-at-home mom, and that's becoming, like I said, ever more increasingly harder. But like how many people that can say that they even had 10 years of that, right? Especially nowadays, in the last 20 years anyway. Like how many people can be like, yeah, my mom stayed home with me. Yeah, it's hard, but we make it work. So
that time away is, I mean, those girls are going to thank you guys. I would say tenfold, having the ability to stay home with a parent and then to be able to do everything because of their dad.
Yeah, and it's not just because of me. Yeah, I do the working away. I've said this 100 times too, man. Like, I could work an 18-hour day, come back, and still have a little bit of energy, maybe to do something else, right? My wife, I come home, I chase the kids around for 8 hours, I'm done.
Yeah.
Right? I'm tired. Like, how does like chasing them around for 8 hours knock me on my ass harder than lifting things all day and like just being physical and abusing the shit out of my body? That's wild. That's wild, man. Like 8 hours, and she does that day in and day out, right? And oh man, like, yeah, that's crazy. But she also makes the house run, not just chase the kids, right? Like, I said to her, like, you're a stay-at-home mom, not a stay-at-home wife, right? So as long as the kids are fed and the kids are happy and clothed and living, like, I don't care what the house looks like. I don't care what else has to happen or doesn't happen in the house. As long as the kids are fine, you're a stay-at-home mom, not a stay-at-home wife, right? So I don't expect there to be dinner. She does it anyway. She's incredible, but I don't expect dinner to be made like a 3-course meal every day for me and a bath ready when I get in the house, right? Like it's not her job, right? So yeah, good for her. She makes everything run. And I said this a billion times about blue collar women, about the wives of blue collar men, right? Like they're the backbone of the industry, right? Like
100%.
like the wives keep everything a good one. I've talked to some guys, who don't have good ones, but are they not good because their husbands are? I don't know how that happens or works, but like, yeah, they're the backbone of the industries, right? So especially the oil field, they got to keep it. They got to keep things running at home all day, every day for weeks at a time. So
you're 100% right. There's behind every strong, however you want to deem successful guy, there's a woman who's probably 1,000 times, not probably, but most likely 1,000 times better than that individual.
100%, man. Like she's a gem. My friends call her all in one. She's got a work ethic on her. Like I've watched her when she was working before, and even in high school, like she come to get me. I remember this. She came to get me so we can go to the movies, but I had to help my dad around the house first. And she showed up, and I'm like, I can't go yet. She's like, well, we're gonna be late. And so instead of complaining about it, she just started, like, she got in there and helped, right? Like we were lifting tree stumps. We were cleaning my dad's yard up. She just starts bear hugging tree stumps, lifting them over to the trailer. And this woman's watched me shit my pants. Like she's, like, I'm not even talking about as adults where we're married with kids. Like I think we were very young in our relationship together when we were like 17 or whatever. And I had to help my dad carry a TV up the stairs, and it was one of those big fucking heavy ones. And I went to go lift. I was wearing short shoes behind me, and I shit my pants. And she still said, I should marry this guy, like.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, that's a winner.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's funny. And then just with, I know there's a lot of people, our big hope and reach is to reach anybody that's interested in blue collar in any sector or any realm that they're interested in, and really to promote the trades, because it's done wonders for myself. I know it's done wonders for Nick. So is there any piece of advice, or is there any resources that you would recommend to somebody to further their career or to get started in their career?
Man, the internet is crazy, right? Like, especially now. A big part of what I do, like, talking to all sorts of trades and, having like so many different people on, it's so like, people can be, hey, I want to become a carpenter or an electrician, or I want to work in the oil field. Well, I have everyone on, right? And so you guys have all different kinds of people on, right? Like there are so many resources right here, right? Like you could talk to a guy like me, like, hey, do you like working in the oil field? Oh, I love it. This is what I recommend, yada, yada, yada. Or an electrician. Oh, I love this. Iron worker, a carpenter. and they talk about their journey, how they got there, what they had to do to get there, what they went through, and the things they had to sacrifice. And you're like, okay, maybe I can handle that. Maybe I can handle that sacrifice. Maybe I can handle being away from home. Talked to a guy who works he's a merchant mariner on a ship, gone for like 6 months at a time, eating the food, sleeping in a bed while the boat's rocking and on the lakes and stuff like that. And stuff like that. Can you handle that? Can you handle eating that shit food? Can you handle a hard bed and then getting up and working and stuff like that? And yeah, so the resources are there all over the internet for podcasts and even content. There's a guy, I think his name's Track Daddy on Facebook, and he's starting to I think he got hired on with from a headhunter company or whatever, and he's posting, hey, these people are looking for people in this area, like, do you want to work here, and stuff like that. So like content creators are now like, we're well-connected people, right? Like, we know people in all different industries, and we talk to different people, and we network all the time, right? Maybe like a temp agency or something like that is like, well, hey, let's get this person because this person knows this person who knows that person, right? It's just like it's 2 degrees of separation, right? So yeah, it's pretty neat. Pretty neat how the internet has kind of brought us all together and put us in this little like corner of the of whatever it is, the platforms,
just a little fiber and a little in the cog of what is life,
Yeah, absolutely.
Kind of coming up on our time, so at the end of our shows, we just like to give our guests an opportunity to kind of say whatever they want, give a shout out, promote your podcast. Give you.
All right. Yeah, my podcast is On the Throne podcast. I wanted to call it On the Throne with Dick, but it's hard to find new viewers with Dick in the title. So it's just On the Throne podcast. It streams every Tuesday morning at 5 a.m. It goes out. It used to be 5 p.m., but I found that, catch the group on the way to work and they're downloading it more. On the way back, they're maybe a little tired or whatever. And, I found that when I moved to 5 a.m., it did better. So I was like, all right, sweet. This is what I'll do. So every Tuesday morning at 5 a.m., a new episode drops on Apple, Spotify, Google, Amazon. I try to put the video out the same day on YouTube. Sometimes it's like 3-4 days later. I'm like, okay, I got time. Let's do this. I think last week's episode actually went out yesterday on YouTube or the day before that. But yeah, I find it on YouTube. Dick Frost is the YouTube account. My TikTok is FrostyD 2.0. Can't have Dick in the search title, I guess. But when you get there, my name is Dick, so it pops up as Dick Frost. It's weird. Instagram is Dick_Frost89, and then Facebook is Dick Frost. Yeah, it's I have two TikTok accounts. One is, I don't even know what the other one is. It's just Frosty D89, I think it is. This is gonna go here, and then Frosty D, Dick Frost 89, and then Frosty D 2.0, and then there's a podcast account I have too, is On the Throne podcast for TikTok. There's a couple of I guess impersonation accounts out there that are doing quite well, so good for them. But I will never ask you to invest in money, and I'll never ask you what your thoughts are on crypto. So I don't know nothing about that. So if you get those messages, it's not me. Yeah, I'm not trying to be a spam caller or ask for your credit card information. If you want to do it, you can. But.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Is there anyone that you want to shout out, thank, or anything that you want to say?
Man, shout out to everyone who follows, likes, watches, and doesn't follow or like. Shout out to everyone who listens to the podcast. Really, shout out to my family for standing by me while I became like this weird. Everyone's like, oh, you're like internet famous. Like, I'm just an idiot with a data plan. So, shout out to that. But yeah, no, shout out to my family for, sticking through what they thought was a phase and turned out to be a little longer than that. Yeah, shout out to them for being patient, mainly my wife.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Well, thank you for your time. I appreciate you joining Ruction Nation.
Thanks, man. Oh, and I guess shout out to my dad for not pulling out, my mom for not swallowing. I guess I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but yeah.
It's a good way to end it.
That is good. Way to end it.
Nice meeting you. Yeah, I hope we can reconnect soon.
Yeah, man.